Hello everyone, welcome to Express Sports Podcast. You're listening to Game Time. We've been away for 2 weeks and the plan during this time really was to come up with a fresh set of ideas, new stories, until the world around us changed dramatically. It just feels like we've all been transported back to 2020. Just the big difference this time being that a lot of us seem to have been affected. I just hope and pray that all of you and your families are healthy and safe. It's just time when a lot of us, a lot of things are coming into perspective, are put into perspective. Sport, which is famously said that it's a matter of life and death, it clearly is not right now. It clearly is not. And it's just been a strange time where a lot of things are happening in the sports world just next door to us. The IPL is happening, but it's just one of those phases where I think all of us are going through the motions and I don't know how emotionally invested we are in those things. Gaurav is not here with us today, but Shashank is here. Shashank, how are things with you?
I find myself in the same boat as pretty much everyone else. We all know, if not multiple, but at least one person who unfortunately has been affected by COVID. And yeah, I think at least for me, my usual distractions, the usual go-to things that cheer me up are not necessarily working. And yeah, the pandemic doesn't seem to leave the mind.
Absolutely. That's what is very different about this time. Last year, around this time when we were talking, we had distractions. We had all turned into master chefs. We had all had our Netflix binge-watching stuff lined up. And this time it's just feeling a lot different. And look, we don't want to kind of make this a very somber podcast, but it's just tough for us as well to kind of disconnect from the situation that is around us. And Shashank pointed out that a lot of us have been affected. People around us have lost their dear ones. And it's been same with the sporting field as well. So many people have unfortunately succumbed to COVID-related complications across different sports. And it just feels right to pay tribute to them. So in this episode, we just thought it would be apt to talk about two very little known but people who have had a very disproportionate impact on their sport, who've unfortunately left us due to COVID-related complications. They are BG Joshi and Sanjay Chakravarti. We'll start with Sanjay Chakravarti. Sanjay sir, he might not be a known name right now in shooting circles, but you talk to any of the shooters and they'll tell you that the current state of Indian shooting, where we are a superpower in the world in this sport, it could not have been possible. It would not have been the same had Sanjay Chakravarti not started, perhaps by accident, his coaching career back in the 80s and 90s, late 80s in fact. And this was a time when shooting was almost non-existent in India. And he just took a bunch of young female shooters who were all NCC members, NCC cadets, and turned them into world-beating athletes, Olympians, world record holders. And now those players, those shooters are carrying forward his legacy and molding the future generations of Indian shooting. So Sanjay sir's contribution to shooting is immense. Just to name a few of the people he's coached, the list is too big. It's Anjali Bhagwat, Suma Shirur, Dipali Deshpande, Gagan Narang. We can go on and on. Till very recently, Ionika Paul, who's from this generation. Anjali Bhagwat, if you want to give a contrast, Anjali Bhagwat started in late 1980s and he was coaching shooters who were in the Indian team as recently as the Rio Olympics and even after that. So that's the career span he's had. Shashank, I don't know if you've read about Sanjay sir's passing away, or for that matter others in the sporting field, because there's just so much bad news around us that it's just tough to focus on one particular aspect. But what's your thing? Last year too we did so many obituary episodes. It's just sad
Yeah.
And we are starting April, May once again with this bad news.
Yes, I mean, I think it's important that instead of just talking about just figures and numbers because we are bombarded by them just all the time, I think when you listen to or when you read about stories of specific people that you realize just the magnitude of this pandemic. And I didn't know about Sanjay Chakravarti till I read your piece on him. And you wrote it beautifully. And one thing that I wanted to ask you, because I knew we were going to talk about this, was that what do you think made him stand apart from so many other coaches? You just mentioned that he's contributed so much to the field. He's enabled so many good shooters to excel. What are the kind of things that people who he has coached say about him?
Shashank, we spoke to Deepali Deshpande, who was one of his students and who's now the Indian team coach. And we'll obviously play her interview. But be it Deepali Deshpande or Anjali Bhagwat or Gagan Narang, you pick any one of the students he has coached, and they'll all say one thing. A, he was so much ahead of his times. We're talking about a sport that is so technical, that is so, I mean, at that point, it was so alien to Indians. He wasn't a trained coach either, so everything was self-learning. He made his students guinea pigs. He tried new things, different things on them. Whatever worked, he went ahead with it. Whatever did not, he discarded those ideas. But through all this, he was a great motivator. Again, I stress again on this aspect that in the 90s, India was nothing in shooting, especially in pistol and rifle. But he gave the confidence to the likes of Anjali Bhagwat, Suma Shirur, Deepali Deshpande, and the others to become world beaters, to become Asian champions, to take them to the Olympics. And none of these women, none of these shooters knew that shooting was a part of the Olympics. So he gave them that confidence, and it's just through sheer hard work. There wasn't a day till his very last days. I mean, until basically the lockdown last year was imposed, there were very few days that he did not go to the shooting range in Mumbai. Even when he was down with cancer 10 years ago, around 2009 or 10, he used to still make excuses. He used to tell people at his home that he's going to the grocery store below, and he used to end up at a shooting range 15 kilometers away from his house. So that's the kind of passion. He went around colleges of Bombay and convinced principals there to get shooting ranges.
Oh.
So he's leaving behind a huge legacy, and I think no one's better than Deepali Deshpande to talk through about his contribution to Indian shooting.
Yeah, so why don't we play that conversation that you had with Deepali here, and yeah, we'll just play it here.
So first, ma'am, is about sir. I mean, if you can explain what made him so special and why he is considered to be such a huge figure.
See, first of all, his coaching, when you say a coach, we, in our mind, we think more about technical part of shooting. But why Sanjay sir's contribution was exceptional? Because he got shooters into shooting. He didn't actually get shooters into shooting, but whoever came to him, he made sure that person stays connected with shooting for life. And I think that's the best part, because that's how the base of any sport or any field is built. Because his place of work was in Mumbai. If you see the way it spread all across the state, the shooting sport in Maharashtra state, you will figure out most of the people, they were attached to him, and whoever he trained, they got into shooting sport in different capacities. Like many of us, of course, we went ahead and went up to the Olympics. We won Arjuna Award and whatnot, all that stuff. But there are so many others who maybe not international shooters, but then they started small shooting centers in Mumbai city, around Maharashtra state. And through them, so many more shooters came in. He not only trained shooters, he trained organizers, he trained even the Nilesh Rani, Kapapi Sports. He was also mentored by Sanjay sir. He was one of my juniors when he started shooting.
Great. Now, because like when he started coaching, late 80s and 90s, that time shooting was nothing in India.
Exactly. So what I find amazing about him is, in those times when there was, forget India, we had so less exposure for that matter for any field, and we didn't know what kind of career we can have in the sport. And still he encouraged all youngsters to take up this sport so seriously and go ahead with the sport. And he had that belief that we are going to believe, and the vision that he knew that someday we will reach where he was dreaming. So at that time, it really requires a vision to do something like this. So just go all out and take all the risks. And then he made us also believe, and that's why we could reach so high.
Just one last thing, ma'am, to pick on that. Do you think without what he started with you all, with that team, do you think as a shooting nation we would have reached so far agar jo 90s or 80s mein start nahi hota to?
It would have been very difficult. Just whatever steps, if you see the steps that we climbed, उस स्टेप से सिर्फ संजय सर का जो कंट्रीब्यूशन है वो हटा दो and see how much is left. See, like in the first time when we, as a country, we won 7 or 8 quotas in 2004. Out of 7 quotas, 4 shooters were trained by him, like either at least mentored by him, like Gagan, me, Anju and Suma. So more than 50% is already gone. So it propagates. There has to be a beginning somewhere. Only then things start getting bigger. See, it's not that before him there was no shooting sport, and without him also the shooting sport would have been there. But if you see, before his time, the most of the shooters were from either forces or these royal families. Basically, the people who had access to weapons, and so it was जैसे शौकिया तौर पे करने वाले, then they went into shooting sport also. So because of him, like why we stayed into shooting sport, because we could see a person like us. He was from a very simple middle class family, and for us it was very easy to connect with him, and for him also it was easy to understand our problems. So through him, the shooting sport went to masses.
That is a great contribution. Yeah, that is the biggest contribution.
And because of that connectivity or relatability, we stayed and we grew. And even see, once we stayed, the shooters who came after us from the similar background, they felt yes, it is possible. If these girls can do it, they are like, it is meant for us.
So that was Deepali Deshpande, who is currently the coach of Indian shooting team, preparing them for the Tokyo Olympics. They are facing their own problems with all the logistics, but that's a story and a podcast for some other time. Shashank, what's your takeaway from the conversation we had with Deepali?
I didn't know about his career until now, unfortunately, and it seems like he seems like a person that was so important to the field. And I think it's people like him that you don't often hear about that, but people within the field know how important they are. And unfortunately, they don't get that kind of limelight or recognition often. But they are the ones, like Deepali said, that really make the sport what it is. And I think from what you wrote about it as well, was that he was so dedicated. He did not even marry, right? Because of this reason?
No, he used the line which a lot of us use these days. Says that he was married to the sport.
Yeah.
I say that because I don't manage to get women. But moving on to BG Joshi, Shashank, you mentioned about the unsung heroes like Sanjay Chakravarti in Indian sport. BG Joshi's news was a personal loss for me. I've known him since 2008, since 2014, every year We've celebrated his birthday together because it used to be towards the end of the year, and that's when we used to be together for the year-ending hockey tournaments, and he used to bring sweets for each one of us. But he is by far the one of the legends of hockey, and who's not a player. And the reason I say that is BG Joshi is the reason why we know how many goals Dhanraj Pillai has scored in his career, or how many matches Dilip Tirki has played, or if you remember when we did the Balbir Singh obituary tribute episode last year, all the numbers that we had in that episode, it was because of BG Joshi. It is so fascinating that today we have these army of statisticians who maintain each and every data numbers for cricket, for football. And BG Joshi, he is a civil engineer by profession, but he was this one-man army for hockey.
Okay, like this sounds crazy to me that our national sport, like some of the stats that we know about are just solely because of BG Joshi, and he was doing that just by himself at his own personal capacity, not officially even employed by, I don't know, the government?
Not by the government. So, okay, I'll just tell Joshi sir's story just from the beginning so that we have a clear idea of who this person is. I'd sometimes refer to him jokingly as crazy person, because if I were, or if anyone else was in his position, I don't think I'd had the dedication to do this. So Joshi sir started taking interest in maintaining hockey statistics towards the end of 1970s. In the 1970 Asian Games, 1968 Olympics was when he started taking much more interest in the sport, listening commentary on the radio. 1970, he started actually noting down important details of a match from the radio commentary so that he could refer to it later. And that's how he started keeping databases. After that, he started to collect copies of The Hindu, because The Hindu was the only newspaper back then which had match reports of every hockey matches that's being played. And since he lived in town which is like 40 kilometers from Bhopal, he lived in Sihor. So he struck a deal with a newspaper vendor in Bhopal, paid him advance money. That newspaper vendor used to keep the entire month ka stock of The Hindu for him. And whenever he went to Bhopal, he used to collect and come back. And he also subscribed to this magazine called World Hockey, which is by the International Hockey Federation. Now, 1 month subscription of that magazine was more than his monthly salary. And still, by hook or by crook, he managed to do it.
Wow.
And we are talking about 70s. So this is a time when I don't even have words to say what drove him to do this. And this was a great time for Indian hockey, We were still winning tournaments. We became the world champions in 1975. So hockey was still in demand. And then he started giving this little trivia statistics for a regional paper, who then paid him for it. So that motivated him to start traveling for hockey. So that's how his thing began. He started traveling, I think, in mid-80s. And till the pandemic hit India, we were together at a match in January 2020. And he has been everywhere since then. And Shashank, he had crazy kind of stats. So there was this very interesting bit I came across in the Hockey Paper, which is a UK-based hockey magazine. And in that, basically, they mentioned that BG Joshi, in their obit, they wrote that in the 2018 Hockey World Cup, the Women's Hockey World Cup, when Ireland reached the final, BG Joshi, in his typical style, so whenever he went to a tournament, he carried this big spiral-bound files with him. And in it were all the numbers which he had recorded forever. So he carried those files. He went up to an Irish player called Zoe Wilson, and he told her that you are only the third bespectacled player to reach the final of a World Cup. It is outstanding, the kind of stats he kept. I'm sure cricket, with the sophistication they have, they won't know how many players with with spectacles have played the sport.
Wow.
He's a legend. Dhanraj Pillai, in fact, tweeted that BG Joshi used to remind the players how many goals they've scored in their careers. Fascinating character.
Wow. Yeah, you are right. He is crazy. He's crazy in a good way, but definitely like that is an insane level of passion. And Mihir, in your story that you wrote about him, you also mentioned this particular story, right? Which I think illustrates the kind of passion that he had, where he, like the story where he went to Delhi to get this particular stat from a match that India played with Kenya. Could you talk about that?
So, Shashank, when Kenya plays hockey, it's not much of a news. It's not a news even in the family of the Kenyan players when they're playing a match. So they happened to be in Delhi in early 1990s. They were there for an exposure tour, playing a match at Shivaji Stadium right in the heart of Delhi. No one bothered to go and watch them play. But BG Joshi, being BG Joshi, he traveled from Sihor, took a bus to Delhi. He went there, he met the Kenyan captain, and his only purpose of taking the entire journey, taking the entire trip, was a few years earlier, India had traveled to Kenya, and he didn't have the goal scorers, the names of the two Kenyan goal scorers who had scored in that match, and he wanted it in his records.
That's crazy.
And he didn't get it. The captain apparently promised that he'll give him those names. I'm sure, knowing BG Joshi, he would have been pursuing that player until he got those names out of him.
Wow. By the way, what was his day job?
So he was with Madhya Pradesh Water Department. He was a civil engineer there. He retired a couple of years ago, and as recently as the start of this year, when he spoke to a colleague of ours, and in fact he'd mentioned this again and again, but his last wish was to watch India at the Olympics. He had seen India play in every other major tournament, and he had only not seen India play at the Olympics, and he was looking forward. He was trying to work out a way to go to Tokyo before the organizers of the Olympics barred spectators from the Olympics from visiting Tokyo. But that was on his wish list. And his last Facebook post, which was a few days before he passed away, his last Facebook post ended with the line, which I think it'll stay with me for long, that the recent performances of the Indian team, which came against the Olympic champions Argentina, they leave me with a smile on my face. And that's how he's left. It's just tragic. It's tragic.
Yeah. Also, just as a personality, as a character, he seems something right out of a novel or something.
Absolutely.
Like very eccentric, very, very passionate about this very specific thing that not many people know about or care about, but just people within the field know about him, and they will remember him.
Yeah, he's been a go-to man for every journalist, every federation, even the International Federation. Sometimes they got their stats wrong and BG Joshi used to correct them.
Wow.
So, that level. The only thing that a lot of us in the hockey reporters circle, we've been figuring out, we've been trying to wonder what happens to his data now.
Oh, right.
So, I was talking to...
Did he upload it? Like you mentioned a spiral-bound notebook. Did he have it online?
Yeah, so his son used to digitize all of it.
Oh, okay.
His son Shravan used to digitize all of it. But the challenge now, Shashank, is that it is hard to find someone with passion as much as Joshi sir had to continue doing this. Unless there is a concerted effort by the federation, if they hire a statistician, his work is priceless. The challenge is someone needs to first recognize that, and then you can take it forward. His son Shravan wants to do it, but it needs to be preserved somehow. His stuff is it can be kept in a museum and it will be relevant 100 years later.
Wow, man. I mean, here we are just talking about two people. We just talk about Sanjay Chakravarti and BG Joshi, but like when we just look at this field of sports, like COVID has taken so many more, right?
There's so many more, Shashank. The list is very long, unfortunately. There are just so many more, yeah.
So, but, if you were to just talk about and look at the lives of just even these two people, what are the kind of thoughts and feelings that you are left with? Or what is your takeaway when you listen to their stories?
The only thing that really I take away from their lives is just live the day as it comes. BG Joshi did that. Sanjay Chakravarti did that. And just the dedication to their art. I think it wouldn't have been possible for shooting to be where it is today if Sanjay Chakravarti wasn't mad about his work. And hockey certainly would have been a lot poorer had Joshi ji not been crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just a sad episode, we understand, but we just wanted to pay a tribute to these guys. Hopefully next week when we'll be back, we can pray that the situation would have shown some promise, it would have started to turn around, and we also hope to have Gaurav Bhatt back with us next week. And until then, all of you, please stay safe, stay positive, and we'll go through this together.
You were listening to Express Sports by the Indian Express. This week's show was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar and produced by me, Shashank Bhargav. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it, share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can also tweet us at Express Podcasts and write to us at podcasts@indianexpress.com.